Hi, this is Ron Lawson from Dirtbike, and I've come to San Antonio, Texas for the 2024 Sherco Dealers meeting. When I got here, the Sherco guys had a surprise, the Sherco 500 SEF Dual Sport. It's freshly approved by the DOT, EPA, and CARB, and it's legal in all 50 states. This is a shocker because we know that the U.S. homologation process is long and expensive, and Sherco did a good job of keeping it all a secret. What it means is that now Sherco joins KTM, Husqvarna, Beta, and Honda as one of the very few manufacturers who has made the commitment to make a legitimate dirt bike that is 100% legal. The bike is based on the 500 SEF off-road bike, which we have to confess we don't have much time on. We know it's the basis for Sherco's Dakar effort, and that with Grant Baylor, it came within a few turns of winning a GNCC Pro Class a few years back. It's a serious off-road bike, but it's not what comes to mind when we think of Sherco. This is a small French company that has made a name for itself in the world of hard enduro with its 2-strokes and lightweight 4-strokes. Sherco is also the bike that 14-time U.S. Trials champion Pat Smodgy has ridden for virtually his entire career. So a large displacement dual sport bike is the last thing we saw coming from this company. The motor is a double overhead cam 6-speed with a Synerject EFI system, and the bike features all the hallmarks that have come to define Sherco's enduro bikes. It has a closed cartridge KYB fork and a KYB shock with linkage. Virtually all the components are the best that money can buy. The exhaust system is Nakrapovich, the brakes are Brembos, and it comes decked out with a hydraulic clutch, a radiator fan, and handguards, pretty much everything. What we love most about it is how unobtrusive the DOT equipment is. The blinkers are tiny, and the Christmas tree thingy that hangs down from the rear fender is lightweight and doesn't bounce around like it does on other dual sport bikes. Even the controls for the lights and the horn, all that stuff, they're minimal. They don't get in the way of the levers and the positioning of the brake lever and clutch lever. It has full-size mirrors, of course, but in most ways, you would never know it's a dual sport. It looks like any other dirt bike. In order to get it through the EPA, Sherco had to add a catalyst in the midsection of the exhaust pipe, and they also made a fairly restrictive air filter cage. Sherco had to develop an EPA legal map, of course, for the motor, and then do away with the map switch because it's locked in the standard position now. It turns out that Sherco already knew how to do most of this because the Euro 5 emission laws in the EU are already pretty strict themselves. We got a chance to ride the Sherco Dual Sport at Czar's Ranch, which is a club-operated private riding area just outside San Antonio. It was an awesome venue, and we had the pleasure of riding with Pat Smodgy, Cooper Abbott, and Cody Webb. We have to admit that we like watching those guys ride as much as riding ourselves. We put Cody on the 500 Dual Sport, and he legitimately rode it like it was a trials bike. Since we had never even tested the off-road version of this bike, we can't say how much it weighs with any accuracy, but after riding it, we do have a good idea. It's going to be around 250 to 260 pounds without fuel. It doesn't feel quite as light as a KTM or Husqvarna, but it will be almost 20 pounds lighter than the Honda CRF 450 RL. As far as motor output goes, the Sherco is a beast. In the configuration we tested, it's far and away the most powerful Dual Sport 500 on the market. It has excellent low-end power and massive mid-range. It's very smooth though, and there's no real hit up top. It's not a very revvy motorcycle. This is more of an old-school four-stroke, and it kind of rumbles down the trail. The fuel delivery is super clean. It doesn't flame out, and Cody was riding it over all kinds of logs and rocks at just an idle. He did have at least one oh crap moment when it almost got away from him. The power surprised even him. The suspension was pretty soft, which is appropriate for a dual sport bike, but it didn't dive or do anything scary. The bike that we had was an early production model. Some things weren't quite stock and some equipment was removed. The Sherco guys had replaced that air filter cage with one from the off-road bike, which, as we all know, technically makes the bike a closed course vehicle. But it still had the catalyst in the stock muffler and the EPA approved mapping. It was extremely quiet. As we said, it ran flawlessly. As far as the price goes, we don't have the official MSRP yet, but we do know that Sherco has a history of pricing that's very similar to KTM's, so you can expect a price in the $12,000 range. They realistically expect the first container of bikes to reach the US around December or January. In addition to the 500 Dual Sport, there will be a super motard version of the same bike, and Sherco will also have a 125 four-stroke Dual Sport bike that will have a price under $5,000. Sherco is a very aggressive little company and has big plans in the pipeline. We'll test everything we can get our hands on, so stay tuned. Keep an eye on dirtbikemagazine.com as well as our Instagram and Facebook pages. We also have a lot of other dual sport content in the bank, so check out these videos and please subscribe. Thanks for watching.